Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Yep, you've guessed it, we have yet another Sinn for the review today. Now, again, this has come from the team over at Francis & Gay. They're top Sinn dealer, I'd say fastly becoming one of the biggest Sinn dealers in the UK, and really helpful staff. If you need, if you want one of these Sinns, contact Ryan or any of the team over there, and I'm certain they'll be able to sort you out a deal and get a watch out to you. Now, this one, I say, is the 856 S Utc, and it's a little powerhouse of a watch, really. This has long since been a member of the Sinn family. There's been an 856 for many years now, and it's available in plenty of different guises. This one obviously being the all black model. You can get this in a regular looking steel model, and you can also get this one with a rotating bezel as well. But this one here, I say, it's a little powerhouse, really. We've got case sizes of this watch are 40mm by only 11mm thick, and a lug width of, so that's that point to this point to this point, the longest part of the watch is 47mm, and the bandwidth is 20mm, so really proportional to the watch. Now, as we look at that dial, let's zoom in a little bit there. Now, as you can see, it's got that kind of classic Sinn 1236 going on there, which I just love. It's seen on many of their models, and it's just got Sinn's name written all over it. Now, we've got the sword style hands here with plenty of lumen, with the also plenty of lume on the hour markers there, and the eagle eye amongst you will see that we have another hand down here. Now, what I like about this is a UTC or GMT hand. They colour the centre part black, and they only do the tip in that kind of minty, kind of yellow look in there. And I think it does a really good job of hiding that hand to a degree. You only just see the little tiny point. And yeah, it's very reminiscent of what they also did on the Sinn U2. And again, if you're really clever, if you really, look at it really closely there, you can see we have the anti-magnetic marker there as well, which I'll talk about more in a minute. Now, the GMT hand on this watch can be operated independently of the rest of the watch. So if I unscrew the crown, and as you can see, plenty of screw thread on that, and pull this out, so that's the UTC there. So you can see how I can turn it clockwise and independently without stopping the standard running time of the second hand. We can adjust the GMT hand there, which I think is quite good. And if you rotate it the other way, you can adjust the the date window. Push it back in, and that's your manual wind. Obviously pull it all the way out, and we've got the stop, the hacking function. The actual movement in this watch is the new Sellita SW3301. Now, that's a 25 joule movement, and the new ones, I believe, are coming on for a 56-hour power reserve, which is actually quite impressive. I put this on the time grapher earlier, and it came up really well. I think around about 1 second again. Sinn really have done a good job, I think, on regulating their watches. I find most, well, if not all of their watches run to within chronometer specs, but they simply don't advertise that, but they do. And that's what I really like about this watch. One of the things I really like about the brand. Now, as you can see, we have a Sapphire Crystal there, AR coating on both sides. It is a flat sapphire. Comes out nicely to this bezel. Now, as I've said before, this is Sinn's, let's zoom out a little bit there, he says. So this is black, and a lot of people I know will say, the problem with black watches is give it 6 months to a year, they start to scratch up and they look terrible. That may be the case with a lot of other brands, but I find that Sinn really do a good job on this, because the simple fact is it's been case hardened first with a system known as tagmented, and that really does bring the level of the surface of the steel up to a really hard level. Now, if you were to buy yourself a regular watch 316 stainless steel, you're talking coming up to 200 Vickers hardness. Now, even if you were to get, say, a Seiko with a Dire Shield, that has around about 500 Vickers hardness, which again is very, very good. But raise that up with this, and then you get round about 1.5 coming on for 2000, and by the time you coat it black, that can be over 2000 Vickers hardness. I'll put that into perspective. I'm wearing at the moment a Sinn U2. Now, this U2, as you can see, is also a full black model, which means it's had exactly the same treatment. Now, you may think, oh, all right, well, that's just a brand new Sinn U2. Yeah, no scratches, great. That's 9 years old. I've had this watch for 9 years, and I think that has handled up really well. Here's one of the clasps I have, which also had the same treatment, and that's after 9 years. Now, we all know clasps take a real heavy hit when it comes to damage for scratching, and that's the difference. I know, you know, this should stay black for an incredibly long period of time. It is that strong. Don't get me wrong, you know, if you really go to town on it, you obviously can damage it, but the likelihood is most normal everyday usage, you're not going to touch this surface. It is really impressive. Now, as we're looking at this case, you might have noticed this. Now, this is another part of Sinn's tech, and this is part of their AR dehumidifying system. Now, this is 3 steps really. It's not just simply like here, copper sulfite crystals within the movement of the watch to keep the kind of moisture, to absorb any moisture. What it simply means is any watch, if you were to put a ice cube on the dial and leave it there for 40 seconds, when you were to remove it, you would see condensation under the dial. Now, it doesn't matter, you know, if it's a super high-end watch or not. If there's oxygen within the case of the watch, there's moisture. It's a simple fact. One of those things you can't get away from. But how Sinn do this, they put an inert gas on the inside, which doesn't really have any moisture in it at all. But with using that gas, they have to use special seals, which are, you know, the next step up, the EDR seals. So they've got an either tighter tolerance and won't allow any kind of the gas to escape, so forth. And then they use this on the side. Now, this is very pale at the moment. Over a period of time, if that was to get bluer and bluer and bluer, that would be the crystals absorbing moisture, but basically pulling it away from the delicate inner workings of the watch. And moisture obviously then can, you know, cause problems with the oil and so forth. So I believe any of the Sinn watches which have this normally have a 3-year warranty with them, so they are really good. It is a very kind of clever system what they use. I think that's actually titanium, the piece they use in there to screw that in. It's completely geeky and I love it. It's one of those things. So it really has got some cool, clever tech in this watch, which is just Sinn's thing. And as I said before, this is quite impervious to magnetic fields, or can stand up quite well to it, because it's got an 80,000 AM rating against it, which is a lot more than your standard watch. Let me put this on my wrist and you'll get an idea how it looks. So I say I'm wearing the black U2. I say this is 9 years old with that tech, and I think it is quite clever. As you can see, if I zoom in quite close there, this is the difference. After 9 years, you can see how the the copper sulfite crystals in there are darker than this one. And there's actually a chart online you can see on the Sinn's website, and it will actually show you what you've got there. I should point out this has got the regular Sinn clasp, which I like. You know, to me it's got micro adjustment on it, and it's quite thin when compared to the actual bracelet. You notice as well the bracelet has got the hex link system on here, so hex keys for adjusting it, which I kind of think is quite cool. Now, I haven't sized this watch because it's not my watch, so let me put this on my 7¼ inch wrist, and there you go. I think that looks really quite cool. So you can obviously get this watch on silicone or leather straps. I think a leather strap actually on this would also look very, very good. So there you go. That's my little review of the 856 Sinn. I say, if you want to know anything about a watch, give us a shout. I always try and get back to the comments, and yeah, see what you think of it. But I quite like this watch. I think it's got that classic Sinn feel to it. So okay, I'll leave you to it. All the best, and remember, stay safe out there, guys. You take care. Okay, bye.